Yo, what's good, y'all? That's your boy Izuku, aka Ninja. I'm here again with the second part to this series. I know y'all might be, telling me to continue the Kakume Naruto one. I don't know which one you guys want me to continue, but I'm gonna drop both parts at when they both hit part 4, and I'm gonna just stop them. I'm not gonna stop them, but I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna make a poll. I'm gonna see which version y'all want. Version 1 with Hinata or version 2 with Anko. And then after that, my bad. Then after that, I'll continue on whichever one you want. Or if you just want both, like I'm gonna make sure to put both on there. If you guys say both, don't worry. I'm gonna record on version 1, then version 2. I'm gonna make sure not to record them at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but like one after another. Because then I'm gonna get stumped up. And I'm gonna fuck it up. So, yeah. I don't have much else to say, but this series, the only other variant of this is gonna be a remaster of a version that I did on my channel, on my main channel with my cousin. Well, at the time it was Bond Ragtoad, but now it's Zoe. Yeah, I doubt he'll join me on this reversion, like on this revamped version, but I might do it alone. And I was planning on it. I already got it. Whatchamacallit. But if he feel like joining, yeah, he can join. Because I don't know if he gonna continue texting stories on his channel. So if he do join, I'm gonna give him that series to put on his channel. And then I'm gonna make texting story versions for my main channel. Yeah. Now, into the warnings. I apologize because I do have the TV this time. It is in the background. I have it low. You probably can't hear it, but at the same time, you probably can. Another thing is, my bed's still creaky as shit. The ceiling fan don't seem to be making noise for real. I paused to see, but the dryer is making a lot of noise, so you probably heard it in the background of the first part, along with my loud cousins and my grandmother. I think maybe it was something like that. I'm pretty sure I paused it, and if I didn't cut it, you're definitely gonna hear him in the background. So yeah, and especially if I was talking over it and it was something important, I won't cut it, so it'll be in the background. How the hell has it been 3 minutes? Have I just been yapping for 3 minutes? See, that's how fast I lose track of time. Now that I heard a lot of stuff in the other part from me messing around with the phone and moving. This noise that you're probably hearing, I didn't notice that in any of the other videos because I didn't really listen to them because I was going off the top of my head trying to remember. But I went back to listen to it so I could remember exactly where I was so I didn't fuck up like I did in the first part. And well, and I apologize. I'll try to move my phone around. Yeah, that noise. I have my phone on a pillow to hold it up higher so it don't fall off the desk when I'm recording, and make that loud ass noise that it made that one time in the one video I was recording. I think it was Kakume Goku. Kakume Naruto. Kakume Goku Naruto. I ain't got the title, yet, but because as you can see, I still haven't posted those. I'm talking in the future. I'm gonna. And it's not I have, it's I'm gonna. You feel me? But now that I've been yapping for 4 minutes and 32 seconds, okay, I'm getting tired of these damn pillows I'm sitting on. They're annoying me. Hold on. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna fix myself up, and I'm gonna go ahead and start. All right. Okay, I semi fixed the problem, but it's still there. I might just bring a fucking chain at this point. But I don't feel like taking it back. So y'all might have to just deal with this noise. I apologize. Hold on, let me grab my water over there. One second. All right, enough on my bullshit and this loud ass bed. Ugh. Hold on. All right, there we go. Now, like I was saying, enough on my bullshit and this loud ass bed. Let's finally get into the video. 5 minutes in. That's crazy. Now, we left off with a confusing bit, and I apologize if you were confused. Basically, I'm gonna just re-explain the ending because it kind of was fucked up. So, at the end, basically what I was saying is, during the match, Isagi would have scored too because, like shown up in the other part, Isagi would have. Hold on, I gotta show it because I'm horrible at explaining that. One second. So Isagi would have scored from in this range. Like he would have been here. He would have been here, like exactly right there when he would have scored. He would have ran from here, heel flicked over Kira and ran around to here, and then shot from there. And yeah, that's basically what I was saying when I fucked it up. Damn, I got all these tabs open. I said tabs. I mean, whatever, bro. So after that, like I said, Isagi would have been the MVP, so they would have interviewed him on, his after game, and bro basically would have said they're trash, they were worthless, they really brought nothing to, like they were lucky to be on the field with me in the first place. Like he basically said it like that, and kids all over the world would have seen it. Not just in Japan, but like everywhere would have seen it. Like kids, adults, and even Noah, because Isagi at the end would have said, "Listen, I'm just doing this so eventually I can get a chance to get back up and go against Noah. So I could care less about these low ranks. They're trash. They were lucky to even be on the field with me. I'm just trying to work my way up so I can go up against Noah." And like I was saying, everyone around the world nationally would have seen this, and they would have been like people would have been talking shit about Isagi, especially kids his own age, and Kira would have been pissed at Isagi, at his lack of sportsmanship. His coach would have been mad at him. His teammates, man, they knew he was right. They were lucky to get Isagi on their team. He basically carried them. No, he did carry them throughout the whole series. I said throughout the whole series. Throughout all of their years in high school, Isagi has carried them. And so they would be not salty. Like they know like Isagi is just that much better than them. They don't really, like that's not a hidden fact. Like they know this. Isagi is better than them. And so that's when he would have walked off and his coach would have been yelling at him. And Isagi would have said, "Listen, I don't care, bro." And now you go to, like I said, his past teammates, Corona, Hiyori, and Bachira, who would have all been watching this with their teams as their coaches would have been like, "Don't turn out like this guy." And Bachira would have said, Don't speak on my captain like that." Like his voice would have went, like he would have been laughing, and when the coach would have said that, he would have been like, "Don't speak on my captain like that." Sure, he's a bit of an egoist, but that doesn't mean what he said isn't true, because everyone on this team is trash compared to him, including me. And he'd walk off saying, "It doesn't matter. I'm done with this team anyways." My fault. I was looking at the TV. I'm sorry. I do that, bro. Bro, he was beating her ass, bro. Like, that was crazy. Like, bro was minking her shit. Not saying that that's a good thing. You shouldn't put your hands on nobody. Even though that's all I used to do. I used to just fight for no reason. But don't do what I used to do. Yeah, I used to fight for no reason. That's not a good thing. I mean, I graduated, so I did something right, at least. And I somehow didn't get suspended from all those fights. Yeah, but we ain't gonna go on that. Yeah. And then we go over to Hiyori, who would have been chuckling, and he would have said out loud, "He's so cool." Like, and one of his teammates would have agreed because he meets ride, like this man meet ride, he meet rides Hiyori, like to the point where Hiyori don't fuck with this man, but he's a good dude. Is a good, like he can shoot well. And he would have agreed. Like, he was like, yeah, bro, it's so cool. And he already been like, what's up with this dude? I mean, he's not, whatever. And the coach would have said, you should not find his attitude cool. That is unsportsmanlike. And Hiyori would have said, well, hold on. All right, I'm good. I don't know what the fuck that was. But like I was saying, Hiyori would have said, I mean, that means you don't like me either. I mean, I find everyone here to be, at best, a slime. Y'all are all slime rank for real. None of y'all have reached his rank. And the coach would say, you've always been a weird one, but if they're only slimes, then what would you say he is? And he would say, well, you saw his last shot, and that wasn't even his best. I mean, you saw what he can do as a kid. You think only being able to shoot from there is his best? I mean, that's probably as far as he can shoot from. Sure. But if you think that's his best play, or that's the best he can do, that's exactly why you're a low-tier slime. None of you... And the coach would try to interrupt him, but he'd say, no, let me finish. None of you will ever reach his rank. Because as slimes, sure, as a mob, you can overwhelm a player. But he's like a dragon. And no matter the numbers, he'll destroy you. Unless you're, his perfect counter, let's say. And I can tell you right now, he doesn't have a perfect counter. Well, as far as I know. But yeah, anyways, I'm done with this team. I already got an offer. And he'd walk off. And this would leave the coach, confused. And the other guy who would be meat riding Hiyori would have said, you heard him. And he'd say, so, where did you get an offer from? And he'd look back and say, oh, from a place called Blue Lock. And then he'd leave the room because they'd be in their room watching on the big screen, And so then we go to Corona, who would have just been, chilling. Like, he would be like, yeah, Isagi, cool. And all of them already have their offers to Blue Lock, by the way. Hold on. I'm sorry. But, yeah, all of them would have had their offers to Blue Lock. And Corona, he would have just been chilling. And, these last two matches, bro was just chilling. Like, he basically he didn't do a lot. Like, sure, he scored and all, but he just kind of walked around the field. And every now and again, he'd sprint upfield to score. But other than that, he just let his teammates do whatever they did. Why? Because he already had his offer from Blue Lock. He was just excited to meet Isagi again. He could care less if they won or lost going to the Nationals or not. all he cared about was meeting up with his captain again. And the coach would point this out and he'd say, "Why are you zoning out? We're on the way to the Nationals." And Corona would say, "I'm going to cut you there short." Well, I'm going to cut you short there. You're going to have to find a new striker because it won't be me. Sorry, but I already have somewhere that gave me an offer and I'm going. And the coach would say, "But what about Nationals? You can't just leave the team high and dry like that." And Corona would say, listen. I already have a chosen striker. Sure, the place I'm going. Well, I won't give too much info since, as much as I know, it'll just be a place filled with strikers. But you won't beat the guy that we just watched. You won't beat him. I can't beat him. This whole team together wouldn't be able to score a point on him without me. And even then, he'd probably stop me and read me like a book. Listen, I don't know how much that monster has grown in the past however long we've been apart. But listen, I can tell you this right now, that everyone here in this room, including you too, coach, yes you, we would not be able to beat him. My fault. I keep looking at the TV. This man just popped that nigga in the head. By the way, I'm watching an anime recap. I mean, a manhwa recap. My fault. I said anime. Don't wanna, you feel me? But yeah, I'm watching it, and if I pause it or turn off the TV and focus on this, then go back to it, I probably ain't gonna want to watch it later. But yeah, and you might be wondering why I ain't wait till after it went off to watch to start. It's because I got like I said, my brain works weird, and I like to multitask. It's weird, but to me, it's very effective because I get lots of ideas while multitasking. So yeah, it just works better this way. But back to it. Corona would just walk out like he wouldn't give them nothing else. Who was that? It's probably my grandmother. Hold on. All right, I'm back. So now that I, did whatever the fuck I just did, basically I brought in groceries, washed some shit, washed food, cleaned food. I did a whole bunch of shit. But I'm chilling now. I was just putting I've been putting my cousin on anime recently. And I started him off with The Rising of the Shield Hero. He getting into it. He fucking around with it. He messing with it. I started him off with Seven Deadly Sins until, it was back when it first came out, but he stopped watching anime before he saw the atrocity that they did with Meliodas and Escanor. But yeah, I started him back up with anime with The Rising of the Shield Hero, and he doing pretty good. He's starting off well. He getting into it, and obviously he hating on mine and shit. But when I come back, I'm gonna get back into it since I don't remember exactly where I was. I'm gonna start at the point of when they're going to Blue Lock. All right, so I'm back now. We go to Isagi, Bachira, Corona, and Hiyori. They all would meet up, and in this, when they met up, they wouldn't be they'd be excited, obviously, they'd be joking, doing all this extra shit, they be doing boy shit, you feel me? And while doing them, they would encounter some dumbasses on the way in. And let's just say those dumbasses wouldn't be talking as much because they'd see the guys that they saw as kids playing against Noah. Well, that wouldn't be the reason why, but this would have been the reason for them joking around. They would have seen them. And they would have walked up, clean up to Isagi, and they would have been like, he held back against you so you could make that, but like they be talking they shit, and Corona, Bachara, and Hiyori would step up, and the other three they was finna they was like they was finna try to do something, but then they get a little scared as they turn around, like they'd see Isagi behind them just staring them down like this, and Isagi would say, "If you thought my goal was pure luck, it was." Like he'd say it just like that, and the three would turn around and look at him as he'd say, "But you can't pull that. You can't pull off that type of kick, can you?" I mean, it was luck back then, sure. I was what, 7, 8, but you at 7 or 8, what were you doing? Playing with kids your age on the field? 1 second. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, he'd say, "What were you doing? Playing with kids your own age?" They weren't putting up numbers as good as I was back in my day. But tell me, do you think you can do what I did against a professional midfielder, against Noah, and against, well, a goalkeeper right after? Yeah, I didn't think so. But listen, I'll give you this. I'll tell you what. If we're ever to be matched up, just know that I'll crush you with the same move I used on Noah. And the three would be like, they'd be kind of scared that Isagi was just calm this whole time. Like they were trying to provoke him, get something out of him, rouse him up, make him mad. But like this man like flat out admitted, yeah, my goal was luck. Shit, I ain't never did that before. It just kind of happened. You feel me? Oh yeah, and the three would get jumped. Yeah, because like Isagi would walk off, and Hiyori, Bachara, and Corona, who would have been there, they would have been like, he's kind of nice. I mean, he got hands, but yeah, we put him on people. And, they whooped their ass and went inside. And Isagi, who wouldn't have noticed that they were, not there, would have saw them walking in. And Isagi would be like, "What took you guys so long?" They'd be like, just took care of some business. And he'd be like, "And that business contained?" And after whooping them, they went to a store and grabbed some snacks, because, why not? Yeah, so they would have had a bag full of snacks. Like snacks, drinks, all types of shit, right? And they'd listen to Ego's speech, and Isagi, who like the whole time during the speech would have been just walking towards the stage with Corona and them following them. And Isagi would have gotten straight up to the stage and stared down Ego, as Ego would smirk and say, "Seems you don't even need to hear my explanation. This is what I thought. Go ahead and walk past, egoist." And Isagi, Bachara, almost said Rin, my fault. Isagi, Bachara, Hiyori, and Corona would have all walked past, as the other guys would be laughing in their face, and that's when he'd get into the Pele thing. Like he'd be telling them what quotes from famous players and shit like that. And that's when hold on. Oh right. That's when everybody would have ran through, as they would have thought that, Isagi and them was getting ahead of them. And Isagi and them would have been seated in the room with Henri, who would have, like while Ego was going over I'm gonna say over his speech. Sorry about that. So, as Ego was going over his speech, that's when we'll find out that Henri was in a room with Isagi and the crew, and she'd be like, "Listen, truthfully, you three should be ranked higher, and him, I don't know too much. I mean, I didn't scout you. Ego himself scouted you." And Isagi, who would have known this from his past life, wouldn't really care. Sure, he probably already knew this. I'm assuming he already knew this. And if he didn't, we're going to say he did. So, She'd say, truthfully, all four of you, well, you three specifically, should have been in Team A, but Ego wants you three to evolve, in his words. So we'll be placing you on Team Z, and your goal, well, we'll be placing you two on Team Z. And she'd look at Batra and Isagi, and she'd look at those two and say, you two can choose your team. And they'd say, we're going to Team Z. And she'd sigh, and she'd say, why would you want to go so low when you're so good? As they'd say, because you sent someone better than us. Okay, sorry about that. My cousins came in because they was talking about basketball. How they just bet on a basketball game, and obviously the younger one lost. I mean, not saying that, he not alright, but he a little scary little shit while playing. All he do is run and then throw the ball and hope it go in. He is in high school, by the way. He's in 9th grade, and he's still doing shit like that. Talking about he gonna be on the basketball team. All right. Anyways, hold on. I'm about to go let my dog in. Okay, so I only sort of remember where I was at. I have been gone from, recording for about an hour or two. I was, he wanted me to explain what was going on, and like he wanted me to give him a rundown to where he was currently at, and I ain't want to spoil at all. I spoiled a little bit, but not too much that would, interrupt what he was doing. But yeah, I gave him a rundown of what happened from where he at. He's at the Pope fight. But I don't know why I'm telling y'all this. I need to continue. My fault. So listen, I'm gonna start back from where Henri was asking Corona and Hiyori what team they want to be on. I mean, she was also gonna ask Bachara, but like I said, there was extra spots on Team Z, so she just put those two together since she saw how close those two were. Because yeah. Yeah. And plus she also only thought that Bachara can dribble. Because even though like he played as a striker-ish, like he kind of played as a striker, he didn't really play as a striker, He played as more of a winger, Yeah. Anyways, like I'm pretty sure, like I was saying, Hiyori and Corona would be like, if Isagi is on the worst team, then we need to be below that, as well as everyone else here. And Henri would be like, why? And they'd say that Hiyori would cut off Corona, who was about to, explain. He was finna meat riot, basically. But Hiyori would cut him off and say that not only did Isagi basically teach them all of the moves they know, but he seemed to perfectly know how they would work together. And it's impressive and also kind of scary. And so Henri, being skeptical of this, would ask, how can she know this is true? And they just say, listen, you asked what team you want to be on, but you're not putting us on the team we asked for. We said Team Z. And in this occurrence, we're just going to put Igarashi and Naruhaya off the team and put them on random other teams. So we're going to say Naruhaya is now on... Naruhaya gets taken out in the second exam. Sure. We'll put Naruhaya on Baro's team. And we'll put him on shit. We'll just put him on a random team. We'll put both of them on a random team. All right? And we're going to say Kira is still here because, we still need knock one person off. No, we'll take off Naruhaya in the random. Yeah, take off. Yeah, we'll take that random off. And no. Yeah, we'll take off the random and Naruhaya. No, the random and Igarashi, because Naruhaya, I mean, his weapon is alright. It's alright at best. I mean, it's good. It's just that he didn't excel at anything else for real, you know. So yeah, Naruhaya is on a random team, and the other guy just didn't get scouted. We gonna put it that way. Cause I don't know his name. Like legit, I almost forgot about him until I just remembered. So yeah, they would all be sent to Team Z, and when Chigiri, Kunigami, and Kuon would see the four, they'd be shocked as. Hold on, I wasn't expecting it. Sorry about that. My cousins, being annoying, came to my door and started beating on it to tell me something completely insignificant. I ain't gonna explain it because it was that stupid. Anyways, on continuing, they would, like I said, the three would be shocked to see them, as the others would also be shocked to see them because they at least know Isagi. And Chigiri knows Corona, as Corona has beaten him before. As Corona is, like I said, as fast as Chigiri was when he was going up against Zantetsu inside, not like in the manga, but like currently, when they went up against I forgot. When they went up against Nagi's team, right? When they went up against Nagi's team, how fast Chigiri was. Like, if you take Zantetsu's how can I explain it? All right, Chigiri at his top speed is basically Corona. And so Corona was able to beat Chigiri back then because, I mean, that wasn't his speed back then. Like, he was already, like, him and Chigiri back then were sort of neck to neck, but like I said, he has better skill and he's a bit faster than Chigiri. And currently, he is, he's way faster than Chigiri. Well, not way, because Chigiri only took a couple matches to get that fast, but obviously Corona is going to grow in this period of time too, so yeah. So Chigiri would go up to Corona because they're a kind of acquainted. Like when Chigiri hurt himself trying to, we're gonna say Chigiri hurt himself trying to keep up with Corona. We're just gonna leave it at that. We're gonna say he got hurt trying to keep up with Corona. Corona is gonna add. Oh yeah, and Chigiri kept running. Like after that, Corona spoke to him and they trained together. So Chigiri isn't scared to run. Yeah, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that shackle holding him down anymore. Well, in this. So yeah, Chigiri would go up to Corona as they would spark it off with a conversation, and Bachira, who would have beaten Kunigami, would have walked up to him and he would have asked how he was. And Kunigami, who was kind of scared of Bachira's, because like I said, Bachira was kind of crazy, because he still had his monster and all, so he was kind of crazy. But they'd spark it off pretty well, and Hiyori would see Kuon. And I'm going to say that they played, and he utterly destroyed Kuon. And Kuon just, he knows how good Hiyori is. And not only that, he tried to betray his team before. So Hiyori, after he'd see Kuon, would pull Isagi to the side and he'd be like, we don't trust that guy. I mean, he's pretty good, but don't trust that guy. And the other two, with their two homies, would also be over there. Well, no, I'm going to say that just the other two came over. Yeah. And Corona and Bachira would say, oh, so we don't trust the guy over there? And also, as well, Ego is speaking, and Isagi is listening to them while listening. Like, Isagi is listening to them because he already knows Ego's thing. And he would have also already explained to them what's going to happen. They would have been confused on how he knows it, what's going to be said. But they just say it's just Isagi. So, because Isagi has done some stuff like this before. Like, So like when they met at the training field, at Noah's camp, I'm gonna just say that a kid got injured before, and Isagi would tell them that kid is gonna get injured, and they wouldn't care that the kid was gonna get injured, but they would be confused on how Isagi just predicted that one kid was gonna get injured before he, Oh my boy, man, damn. Sorry about that. I was checking Discord because I got a notification. Anyways, let's see how. Oh, my fault. I wasn't thinking on where I was. I remember I was thinking about something, but yeah. So they wouldn't question on like too much how Isagi knew what was going on. They just assumed that like like at that time they assumed that Isagi just saw the kid with like the way he was running that he was gonna injure himself. And now they just assume that Isagi just heard Ego told him what was gonna happen in the first exam. And so they'd ask him, do he know what's gonna happen in the other exams? And not wanting to, spoil it, he'd say, nope. And they'd obviously know he's lying, but they wouldn't care since, his information is their information, really. So, yeah. So after hearing that, Hiyori already knows that Kuon is he one of them, like he shouldn't be trusted. He'd be like, okay, it seems they have, they know stuff. So, this makes this time way better. He has reliable teammates. They have people they know, which is going to make it easier for them to trust him. And Isagi would just come out and say it and say, we need to build a team around me. I mean, everyone here can score a goal, sure. I don't really mind that ball. And then he'd turn as the ball would be flying towards him. And nobody would have, not a lot of people, like the ones who would have heard him was Raichi. It would have been Kira, who would have just had kicked the ball at him. Chigiri, Kunigami, and the other three. And the ball would come flying directly at Isagi's face. And he would look over. And Hiyori would jump in the way. Hold on. Yeah, so like this. Like Hiyori would have jumped in the way and blocked the ball right before it hit Isagi's face. Hold on. Sorry about that. My cousin came in. He asked me a question. Okay, I've been pausing a lot, but like I said, some shit just happened. I mean, not like bad, but like my cousin kept coming in here and yelling and shit. Oh shit, I forgot to go do something off. Yo, I'm back. Yeah, so the thing is, I've been going for like 2-3 hours, so I'ma just go from what I see on the screen. My dumb ass was finna say picture, but yeah, on the screen. So I'm gonna start there. Because that's as far as I remember anyway. So yeah. So like here we go. So like I said already, I'm assuming Kira would have kicked the ball at Isagi out of the grudge he got from Isagi talking down on his team and him before, and how Isagi destroyed their team. Well, beat their team so disrespectful. And Hiyori would have jumped in the way, and kicked past Isagi's face, and Isagi wouldn't flinch as Hiyori would block the ball, and Corona would get it as he would he would trap the ball. And the three would just, now with Bachara standing near him, who would get the ball from Hiyori. Hold on, my cat is tweaking. From Corona, by the way. I meant to say Corona. Sorry about that. My cat was tweaking. But yeah, like I was saying. So Bachara would get the ball from Corona as Corona would look at Bachara and Bachara would nod as Bachara would dash forward at Kira as now the three have a grudge against Kira. See, they already didn't like how he had this pretty boy act, but in the background you saw him mean mugging Isagi after he won. And those three already didn't like him for it. But now they really don't like him as they tried to take out Isagi. And so the three would rush forward at him with Hiyori going like he'd pretend to be calm as he just walked to the back over there by where Kunigami is. As Gami, damn, why did I say Gani? My fault. Kunigami would walk past and while walking past, run past because he don't want to get hit. As Bachira is just making like he'd be dashing at Kira, and since he's faster than in canon, he is on his ass. As Bachira would flick the ball backwards, and like he would tip the ball up and then backwards over his head as he jumped to the left. Like he'd fake going to the right, which would cause Kira to think that Bachira still has the ball. But everyone would be confused as Bachira just kicked the ball behind him and Bachira would jump to the left. 1 second. Sorry about that. I had to go close the door because my cousin left it open and it was loud. But yeah, the ball would start heading towards Corona, who would point at Kira, who would be looking back in terror as he knows of Corona. Corona has gotten a lot better. Like everyone has grown since being apart from each other. The three have grown since being apart from Isagi. But Corona has with the like he would keep in contact with like they'd all keep in contact with each other via Discord. Yeah, you heard me. Like they keep in chat, like they be in a Discord chat, right? So he would have learned from Isagi, like basically Isagi would explain to him the principles of the Kaiser impact as Corona would have wanted a strong, hard, and straightforward kick. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. My cousin came in and he wanted to talk. But why you do that? My cat slapped down my water bottle. All right. I got a lot. I should probably pause for this segment because loud noises and I'm obviously not talking over. Excuse me. All right. Now I don't remember where I was at, so we're gonna redo it. So the ball would be heading for Corona as no, I remember. I was saying that how Isagi was explaining the basics of the Kaiser impact to Corona, and Corona would say so a straight, like he'd say a straight yet strong and precise kick. And Isagi would say, yeah, but it's gotta be quite fast too. It's an explosively fast kick, which causes the ball to fly straight with precision, speed, and power. And so, basically, Corona would have made his own version, which it's not the Kaiser Impact, but it's like it. So, I'm gonna explain it. So, basically, he figures out where like he looks at his or whatever he's aiming for. So goal, person, whatever. And after figuring out his target, he figures out where exactly he's going to shoot. And once he figures that out, now he has to figure out how hard he wants and how hard he needs to hit the ball, depending on how close to his opponent or goal. Depending on how close he is to his target, he kicks according to that. So if he's farther away, he shoots harder. If he's real close, he shoots hard and strong. Like he shoots. Okay, when he's far away, he shoots hard with accuracy. When he's closer, he shoots with speed and power. Since, Yeah, and in this case, he's using all three. Or hold on, I'm pretty sure it's this way. Well, it's not exactly this, but we're gonna say Isagi taught each of them their speciality. Besides Hiyori, who already knows metavision and has known it since he was a child. So Corona has he has Predator Eye. Bachira Bachira has we're gonna I can't remember what I said I was gonna call it, so 1 second. Sorry about that. And you probably hear some in the background. My family has the living room TV up loud, and I apologize. But I digress. We're just gonna call it Dribbler's Eye. And he's gonna be the only one. No, we're gonna give this man. Yeah, Emperor's Eye. Why not? Why not? We're gonna give Bachira Emperor's Eye. If you don't know what Emperor's Eye is, damn. Hold on. I'm gonna just go get a GIF or some of it and what it can do. Hold on. Now you might be wondering, by looking at this eye, what the fuck is an Emperor's Eye? Well, you see this red line like in his eye, like the red circle in his eye. Yeah, it's that. Hold on. Like other people has it too. Like his is yellow. His is orange. You can't really tell with Kuroko, but it's there, right? So basically, Bachira has orange or this color. Like this is Bachira's color of Emperor's Eye, basically. So yeah. Now, like I was saying, before I got completely off track, my boy Corona would activate his Predator's Eye as he'd stare down Kira with it, who would feel like, okay. Like he'd just feel this aura that would make him go, I'm fucked. As hold on. With a swift kick from Corona, the ball would slam like almost instantly would slam into Kira's face, who would in that moment not be able to move. Not just because of the pain and because he was almost unconscious from how hard the ball just hit him in the face, but he was terrified. Why? Because Bachira was staring him down. Like while he was falling, behind him, he would see Bachira looking down on him with Emperor's Eye activated. As Bachira would stare him down, and the time would run out as the ball would fall on his chest. And Bachira would say, never kick at my striker again. And he would walk over to Isagi, and the others would follow suit. As Isagi would also be staring down Kira. And while everyone stared down Kira, Ego would tell him to lock off or get the hell on. He lost. He can no longer be a part of Japan's, soccer, like, yeah. So, since he's unable to, he'd say that's a load of bullshit. That's not fair. Isagi should have been. Why he's not being acting like he be trying to figure out all this other shit to say as he just rush at Isagi, who would still be staring him down, and Bachira would step in front of Isagi as Kira would fall and slide past Isagi and Bachira, obviously, as he would be confused on why his legs gave out. Like he didn't get hit. And he would chop it up to that, the ball from earlier warped his perception and Like he's still kind of messed up since it hurt a lot. And he would just get up and leave, and he'd tell Isagi that he better not see him again. And Isagi, who wouldn't have said anything this whole time, would be kicked the ball from Corona as he would, like, he'd tap the ball up, jump, and do a bicycle kick, slamming the ball into the back of Kira's head as he would go sliding out of the door. And two guards would grab Kira as Ego on the screen would say, "That's enough." And Isagi would say, "So, what's first?" And Ego would say, "I like that you want to get down to it, but your other teammates aren't in and ready for this yet. So we'll start with training." And obviously they train treadmills, jumping, and all this other stuff. And Isagi would be a lot better than in the past. Well, his first go around, should I say, as he would be able to jump almost as high as Kuon. And Kuon would be shocked, and so would a lot of the others, because the only other person who could jump almost as high as him, if not a little bit higher, was Gagamaru. And that's when, like, all this other shit would happen, like all the other stuff. Isagi would be almost as fast as Raichi, because Raichi is pretty fast, as he is almost, like, he's a little bit slower than normal Corona. And normal Corona is, pretty fast. So at this version of events, he is almost as fast as Chigiri before he gets into his full stride and, like, takes off. So Isagi would be a bit faster than that. Yeah. Yes, I know I changed my mind from him being slower than him to being faster. Isagi would be faster than normal Chigiri until Chigiri gets into his full stride and is running freely. Then only is Corona faster than him. Corona is the fastest person on the team, with Chigiri being a close second. Then it's Isagi, and then Bachira. And then, no, then it's, after Isagi, it's Raichi, then it's Bachira. Yeah. So, they would be practicing, and Kuon and them would say, "We need to work on a team." And, like, everyone would, well, besides, the others, so Isagi would say, "I'm being the striker, and I don't give a shit whether or not you want me to be, or want to take my position. I will be the striker. Actually, you know what? I'll just make the team." And so they would be confused, but, they didn't want to disagree, as Isagi seemed to be on a higher level than all of them. And he was already at the highest rank on there, because, Ego controls the ranks of the teams, not who would have put Isagi at the end. So the highest ranking goes Isagi, then it goes to, I'm going striker wise, by the way. So it'd go Isagi, it'd go Corona, Hiyori, then Bachira. Then Kunigami, Chigiri, Kuon, who was pretty good. He's naturally just a good, he's naturally a good player. So yeah, so like it'd be, people who are already pretty good at the game, and it would end with Igarashi being at the bottom. Wait, hold on. I took out Naruhaya and the random. Naruhaya is just on a random team, and the random gone. So yeah, Igarashi, like Cannon, would be at the bottom. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering how Kira got the ball, Igarashi would have walked up to Kira while he wasn't looking, and would have just kicked the ball into the back of his leg and then ran off. And Kira, who doesn't care, would just kick it at Isagi, who wasn't paying attention. But yeah, anyways. Isagi, hold on. I'm gonna pull out my. I'm gonna go back to the field thing, so I could. I'm gonna make a mark every time I say a player's, position. Yeah. Hold on. Okay, so hold on. Hold on. I know it. Wait. Hold on. Give me a second. Okay, so seeing guys will need my pen. We'll do it this way. So Isagi would say, okay. Oh shit! I forgot. I cannot move it like this. Hold on. So Isagi would say, "I'm here." He'd say, "I want." Hold on. This is gonna be hard. I'm gonna have to zoom out. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it like this. Okay, so he'd say, "This is my position right here." Why did I make it K on accident? This is Isagi. He'd say, "I'm here. Bachira's there. I want Hiyori here. I want Corona there. Chigiri here. Kunigami there. I want Raichi here. I want Kuon. You can be there." Ooh. Oh shit! I could have got rid of Lemon. Oh well. He was gonna say, "I want Gagumaru there. I want Lemon here and Igarashi there." And you might be wondering, why wouldn't Isagi, if he went back in time, put Gagamaru as goalie? Well, because Gagamaru did have some pretty good normal saves without being inside the box, and that was pretty helpful. And plus, he's great at he was a great decoy for Bachira and Isagi's link up that one time, so it makes sense. So yeah, I'm back. But yeah, like I was saying, so after after Isagi would put up this everyone would be arguing because they all want to play closer to the forward position because they're trying to score. Plus, they're all strikers. They don't want to be in these other positions. But then Isagi would say, "Okay, then all of you play us for. If you can't win, you listen to my plan. Like I said, I won't be stingy. I'll let the ones who can score. If you're open and I don't feel like shooting, they'll pass it to you. If not, then they won't. Plus, you just need about 3 to move on. Well, you just need to at least score or be of some use to move on. You don't necessarily need to have a whole bunch of points. Just do good enough. Be of use, and you'll be able to move on." And they would look at him, and Raichi would walk up to him with his usual angry tone. And Isagi, knowing, full on well how Raichi gets, would just grab Raichi by the chest, by the scruff of his shirt. Well, jersey, whatever. He'd grab him and with one arm would make him by his shirt. Like he wouldn't grab him by the shoulder. By his shirt, he would bring him down with one arm. And he'd look down at him just like in the picture, and he'd say, "Believe in me, and I promise you'll move on." And just like that, everyone would just be cool. Like after that, after seeing how easily he just manhandled a person with his weak, they don't know what his dominant arm is. They assume he's right-footed, since most people are. But he just brought down Raichi with one arm, nonetheless. It's his left arm, but still, his right arm. And by the way, Isagi is fully ambidextrous at this point. Like he's able to do everything he can with his right arm with his left. Everything with his right arm he can do with his left, and everything he can do with his right leg he can do with his left. Like why? And the reason why is because he trained it now to where he can. Because, and like current Blue Lock, he was only able to get it to what, 60% of his right leg or something like that. It was something like that. But yeah, Kunigami was like trying to train the other leg. Now would be too late because you already trained this one, and if you keep trying to only train one or while training the other one at the same time, it's just gonna keep whatever, right? He trained them both and he's able to, yeah. So Isagi is now capable of, pulling off direct shots, and like he's able to do a lot. Like he's able to pull off curved shots and all of that. Isagi is an all-around player and he's able to do it all. And so after this, they do all of this, and Isagi, Chigiri, Kunigami, Kunigami, almost said Baro on accident. Corona, Bachara, and Hiyori. Those, like with Isagi, that's 4. Those 2, those 6 would be up, as they would be chilling. As Isagi would just blatantly say, okay, so we don't have to worry about Kuon for right now. We'll work the ball around him. Don't let him get it. He'll show his true colors eventually, since he'll need to score at least 3 if he wants to prove that he deserves to move on. And they'll be like, wait, why specifically 3? And Isagi would say, well, why not 3? It makes sense. He wants to show out the most. Well, from what I heard from Hiyori here, the guy was an asshole to his teammates when they didn't perform how he wanted them to. And then, not only that, he had a fake personality where he'd apologize, saying that, that's just how he gets on the field. He's overly passionate, which could be true, but I don't give a fuck. And Isagi would look at Kuon, who is asleep, like he's not faking it, like he's actually asleep, as he'd say, so in this match tomorrow, let us forsake the head, because I know the rest of you, well, you two probably won't, but those guys will kind of fuck around and it'll mess us up. We'll score and keep the guys who are coming on a leash. We won't have to worry about them much since they aren't a problem. I just hit the fuck out of my microphone. I apologize. But yeah. And Bachara would just say, yo, Isagi, why do you always talk so calm and like quiet? And Isagi would say, well, there's no reason for me to yell. Not yet. We haven't gotten there. Plus, you'll know when it's time. Because when I finally start talking out, everyone will hear my voice and will move when I say move. By the way, Isagi from before, he actually talked normal, but like nowadays he just talks calm, cool, and collected. I mean, he can talk like he talks normal sometimes, but most of the times he's just talking cool. But in the game, that's gonna change. Why? Because they started off with their first matches against Baro. 1 second, I keep seeing something. I gotta confirm or deny what's going on. Yeah. Anyways, sorry about all this noise. I'm back. So, Isagi the next day would be relaxing as it was time to hop on the field, but he'd take his position and be cool about it. As soon as it would start, he'd just tap it over to, no, when it start, let's say it gives it to Baro's team. before even getting to that, Baro and them would step on the field. And the first thing he'd say is, I'm the king of this field. And then he'd step on the field and start walking out with his team. Same as Kenya. But Isagi would say, yeah, shut up, you crying, worthless king. And like this would be the first time like Team Z has ever heard Isagi like talk arrogantly. I mean, they obviously have seen, the tapes of Isagi talking shit. I mean, the video of Isagi talking shit about Kira's team and stuff like that, but they didn't think he would, fire back at someone bigger than him because, like I said, Isagi is lean and compact, but he has the perfect physique for a striker. Well, to him, like he's not like hella like compact, like skinny compact, but like he's stronger than he looks type compact. And Isagi, who would, just be relatively chill, would always talk like this. But Isagi now talks like this as he's on the field. And he don't give a fuck, as he'd look Baro in the face and say, so, you worthless king, you want to lose again? And Baro, recognizing Isagi, would say, I'll kill you. And everyone would be confused on, like, why Baro is so mad. As Isagi would say, what, you didn't have enough when I beat you back in the day? I mean, how old were we? I think we were like 7. Yeah, I think it was when we were 7. And I crushed your hopes. Well, I crushed you. You had Hiyori here on your team, and he carried you 2 points, and the king did nothing to score. You were horrible as a kid. Let's see how well you improved. And Baro would be, like, he'd be aggravated now. Like, he would go to swing at Isagi, but Isagi would just dodge it, as Ego would say, enough of the talk. Begin. And Isagi would just stand there as Baro's team would get the ball. And as soon as the clock begins, Baro's team would dash upfield. Well, they dash for the goal. And they'd be passing the ball around, and Baro would be open. And we now see Team Z, obviously they are trying to get the ball. They didn't listen to Isagi's plan, but that was also a part of his plan. As even Kunigami and Chigiri was kind of not listening. I mean, Chigiri kind of did, as he just waited for Baro. Well, he was marking his man, but he also kind of wanted the ball. And the ball would get loose as Raichi would press up against Baro as he'd be trying to get the ball, as they'd be struggling, and Baro would say, did you think you guys were enough to stop me? And that's when the rest of Team Z would dogpile on them, and Baro's team would dogpile on him. But him being Baro, he'd push off, but that's when Corona would like slide in his way, and he'd say, yo, long time no see. And Baro would grit his teeth as he'd say, I'll kill you, you shark. And Corona would say, I'll bite you, you fucking tiger. And they'd rush at each other, and Corona's a little stronger than this, so they'd kind of meet, and they crush up, like they bump, like go heads up at each other. And, like I said, Baro is obviously stronger than Corona, but he'd be holding them off and long enough for Hiyori to swipe in and take the ball. As he'd pass it upfield, and the other team, like the two teams would be confused, as they would see Isagi already rushing upfield. Like, he wasn't even looking. Like, he'd be standing upfield, just standing there, as if he were waiting for the ball. And the goalie, who would have been watching and laughing at Isagi for thinking that, Why is he just standing here? Is he like, has he given up? But the ball would fly directly for Isagi, and some of Barrow's teammates would start to rush at Isagi. 1 second. So some of Barrow's teammates would start to bum rush at Isagi for the ball. And Team Z would be looking at Isagi like, okay, did they plan for this to happen? And Hiyori, who would have already had passed the ball, would have said, I mean, Isagi plans for a lot of things, so he possibly could have. He probably predicted you wouldn't listen to his plan and planned around that. And Team Z thinking, okay, well, like they would all come down to this like realization. If Isagi can think this far ahead, could he really like actually allow them to get points? Because seeing as how Isagi acted with his own teammates, he would rather take a shot from almost half field than pass and run upfield. But yet he told them, I will allow you to get goals if I see you working to get a goal or want to get a goal. But if you just say you want a goal and show no sign or way of wanting or needing that goal, I won't give it to you. And Chigiri and Kunigami would say, yo, maybe we should actually get in the lineup and listen. Like actually work as a team. And since Barrow's team was already working as a team, you know, and like I said, they were rushing for Isagi, who would get the ball. But instead of, you know, like shooting from there, which he could have, like he was close to the goal anyway, he trapped the ball Nagi style. But like I said before in the past episode, he isn't Nagi and he doesn't have the ability to fully trap it as Nagi can. So the ball would roll up to his chest as he bump it forward, and then he jump. And if you've been keeping up with if you saw the current Blue Lock episode, Nagi's episode where he scored on the U20, basically Isagi would do that. Like he jumped and then turn fully and slam the ball as it goes flying towards the side, as everyone would be shocked, like, why didn't he shoot that? Hold on. Alright, I'm back. So, after all of, you know, what transpired, everyone is confused on, like, what the hell is Isagi doing? And, like, his teammates would be yelling, yo, what are you doing? Like, why is he kicking the ball seemingly out of bounds? But Bachara would be there as he would jump up and he'd trap the ball. And he'd start running with the ball towards the goal. And, like, everyone would be confused, but they would go with it as they'd be like, okay, maybe he isn't some lunatic psycho who just kicks the ball out of bounds for fun. And Bachara would easily score on the keeper since no one is on him. And that's when they'd reset, as Isagi would say, yo, King, you can't score on some peasants? What type of king are you? And Isagi, like, the whole, like, you know, he's getting in Barrow's head to see if he'll evolve early, since he was able to evolve Bachara and, you know, the others fairly quickly after only just meeting them a little while. And them over time evolved even further being around Isagi. So Barrow, who was around Isagi for even just that little bit, since he already knows of what Barrow can do and how well Barrow can do it, he wanted and planned to evolve Barrow. But not now. He just wanted to test him. And Barrow's anger would cause him to start at, like, nah. Yeah, when they'd say when it'd be time to start, like the whistle would be blowed, he'd start back up, he'd rush forward, and he'd run directly at Isagi after, like he'd get the ball back and rush directly at Isagi, and not expecting Isagi to be stronger than him, he'd rush at him as they'd like in the middle, like directly in the like where Isagi was, like he'd rush at him and Isagi would rush forward at him too, and they'd clash in the middle as they'd just be at this standstill, and Baro would be shocked that Isagi, who was shorter than him and seemingly weaker than him, is keeping up with his strength. So is he actually weaker than him? And Corona would come in, hit a sharp right, and go clean through both of them, still in the ball, as Isagi would step back and Baro would fall to the ground, shocked. As Isagi would say, yeah, going against me is kind of, yeah, you won't beat me. Yeah, I'm stronger than you, or as strong as you. Either way, you aren't beating me in the physical category. Sorry, Baro, but I may not look it, but I'm strong as shit. And he would rush forward, and his team, which is now actually moving as a team, would start to rush forward too. And Isagi would be shocked that they started working together faster than he expected. And so Kunigami would say, I'm open. Like he yelled that he was open. And Hiyori would look at Isagi, who would nod. And he would pass like towards Isagi. And the other team would see this. And then Isagi would step back as Kunigami would run past him with his eyes now flaring with ego as he'd say, nice fake. And he would kick the ball as it go flying into the net. It go flying and slam into the back of the net as they would have scored their second goal. And Isagi would say, nice kick, you're pretty strong. I mean, you're weaker than him over there, but that can be trained and worked on. And Isagi would say, I would train him myself, but I don't know what the hell happened to him in the wild card thing. So, I guess he's just going to have to get stronger and better. But I don't want to change him too much to where he doesn't go down the path of the wild card. I mean, Kunigami from the future is quite badass, but do I really want to see the hero lose his spark? And he'd look at Kunigami, who would smile at him and hold out his fist, and Isagi would bump his fist and smile while looking down. And in his head, he'd think, I'm sorry. And that's why I'm gonna leave this part off. I could have finished the match, but nah. So yeah. With that being said, goodbye.